everyone, my name is Makeup by Plumtay and welcome to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be starting a brand new series called Does This Thing Really Work? And for our first ever product we are going to be looking at a very special concealer and see how it kind of lives up against a normal regular concealer. So the one in question today is the new Makeup Revolution Skin Silk Concealer. Well, it's like a brightening and concealer product, and there's something extremely special and different about the applicator, and that is the whole reason why I'm going to be focusing on this one in particular today. But before we begin, I would love if you would consider subscribing. I do post every single week. I would love if you would leave a like. It does help me out a ton. And without further ado, let's get to seeing how this special unique concealer compares to a regular one and see if this does really work. I guess we will just dive straight into it. So at the moment with my face, I've only got on a bit of moisturizer, probably a bit of sweat at this point because it's gone over like 10 degrees today. First things first, I'm going to apply some primer, and the primer that I am choosing today is the NYX The Face Glue Gripping Primer. I do use this every single day. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's about like this full at the moment, but I know that I can trust this primer, which is pretty much essential if you're testing another product because you don't even know which one's playing up. So we'll just apply some of that. Honestly, my face has started breaking out at such a great time. Have you seen all of these spots? I mean, probably maybe not that I've put primer all over it, but it means that I can fully put this wacky concealer to the test. While I'm waiting for my primer to get tacky, I think it's time to give you a little rundown of this brightener slash concealer. So this is a new release from Makeup Revolution, and it is their Skin Silk Brightener and Concealer. And the main curiosity and reasoning behind this video is on the inside. The applicator is certainly something unique. So before I show you that, I just wanted to point out how lovely this packaging is. When I saw it, I really liked it. Proper snazzy. So this is actually what the applicator is. It's just purely a metal tip. There's no doe-foot, nothing fluffy and fuzzy that you can smear all over your face. It's purely just metal. And their reasoning behind having this metal tip is that supposedly it's supposed to be quite nice and cooling for your under eyes, and it's supposed to puff them, which I can't really claim that it has because I don't tend to experience much puffiness when it comes to my eyes. But I can tell you that when I do apply it, it does feel quite nice and cooling. Like an ice roller, or like, you know, one of those spoon hacks that people do, I wouldn't say, but it does feel quite nice and cooling. For reference, the shade that I have is in light peach. It claims to be very good with dark circles. Again, not something I really experience. When I'm quite tired, I do tend to find kind of dark patches in this kind of typical area, but not as much really. I'm gonna see if I can scrape off the concealer to proper show you what the applicator looks like. I've tried my absolute best to get rid of all the concealer, but it does appear to have absolutely no like hole in it or anything to deposit the concealer. It's just literally a little metal scoop, I would say. And then this is the kind of motion it applies like, and how the shade looks. So I don't know if you could tell by that really botched swatch job, but the formula is quite, I'd say, more of a wet kind of formula, not too thick. I'd say it's more on a thinner side. And based on my previous experiences wearing this product, it does feel very lightweight and you can't really feel it on your skin. I'll show you what it looks like when I blend it out. There you go. I'm really hoping that caught well. Okie dokie, I think my primer is set, so now it's time to use it on my face. As I said, perfect time for my face to start breaking out, so I can put this product to the test. Its main selling point is to be an under eye brightener and concealer, but I am going to be using it pretty much all over my face, so you really can feel the coolingness of the metal. If that's something you really like, and you like that kind of depuffing, cooling aspect under your eyes, I do think that does feel really lovely. I can only imagine when it's like 5 a.m. you just sit there doing this. And then you miss work because you're just sat there rubbing concealer under your eye. One kind of negativeness, I guess you could say, one con with this kind of applicator is, as I mentioned and showed you before, because it is just a metal dip, you don't really get as much product on the applicator and you're constantly having to dip back in. So the product I had on the applicator initially has done under my eyes, and now I've had to go back in, which I'm not as much fussed about, but I know for other people that can be quite frustrating. Like, imagine you're in a time rush and you're just constantly like doing this to your concealer. I'm going to try out two different brushes to blend out the concealer. So I'm going to go in with this brightening concealer brush from Real Techniques. It says 242. So this brush will be for under my eyes. And I'm also going to be using the number 302 Superdrug brush for the rest of my face, just to see how that fares up against kind of different textures and brushes. Every time I've used it, it does feel so easy to blend. So now I'm going to go in with the big face brush and see what that is like against it. Everything is now blended and you can see there has been a bit of a difference. I would say you can see the difference with my under eyes, which it kind of seemed like it was directly targeted towards. Again, I don't actually experience too much puffiness around my eyes, so I can't say for certain if this is actually much of benefit or not, or just a very, very big claim on their behalf. But it does feel really nice and cooling. I'm gonna get up close and personal, so this is your 3-second warning. So this is how the concealer looks like on my skin. I do have to say, despite the annoyingness of having to keep constantly be dipping back into the product, I do think it looks so nice. The only thing I would say is you can still see a couple marks on my face, so it's not completely high coverage if that is something that you are looking for, but I can see a difference in my under eyes. So I will have a screenshot of what my face looks like before I apply this product, and then this is what it's looking like now. So you can see it has made a difference to my under eyes. They do appear brighter. They were not wrong in that aspect. I'm going to try and see if I can put a little bit more of this on the places where it didn't exactly cover. I might put some more on one side of my eye. I feel like that'll be a fun experiment. See, it does actually feel so nice and cooling. I really do wonder for Alexa, I do wonder though, how long do you have to sit here rubbing this like that to actually notice any deep puffingness? There you go, you might be able to see it now. It literally is just a little dip in the applicator. It's so strange. I can't decide if I really like it or I'm just like, it's really not necessary. It does feel nice, I do have to say that. There we go. So this is the eye that I just applied the second layer in, and even from just applying a second layer you can still see a bit of a difference. I'm not sure how much my lighting is doing it justice and my camera, but even with a second layer on top there is another difference there, which I actually wasn't expecting. So it's quite nice to just throw yourself in the deep end sometimes. But yeah, it does appear to be quite a buildable affordable product, which I think a lot of people will be happy by, but also maybe not, depends on how you feel. If you're having to build up this product and having the applicator constantly dipping back into that product, it will increase your makeup routine by like times 10. So I'm not entirely sure if that whole aspect of it is making it worth it or not. In terms of how it's looking, I think it's one of the most natural and blendable concealers that I have ever used. It really does brighten your under eye. As I said, compare this where I only have one layer to this where I have two. You can still see a difference. And even with this scratch mark, I did have to apply twice, but it didn't end up caking onto my face or even under my eyes. Usually concealer can cake up around the area just because of how my skin is there, but it just looks so natural. I'm honestly really impressed with how it looks. I'm gonna go off and finish my makeup, and I will be back to let you know how the concealer holds up with that. I have completed my makeup. I have applied a butt ton of powder on my face. Again, it is feeling quite warm today, so I'm starting to sweat a little bit, but I'm looking quite nice and glowy. Hopefully it's not sweat. I'm probably leaning more towards I'm actually looking quite nice and glowy. But I tried to focus on using some cream products since the formula of the concealer did seem to be quite more, I'd say, liquidy. Like it wasn't like a thick mousse. For my bronzer, I used the Mina No Rules stick, and then used the 503 for my blush, and then for the powder I used the NARS Light Reflecting Setting Powder. I know that they always typically go well. Again, I do use them on a regular basis. I have found that it did actually all mesh quite well together. The concealer definitely held up. I'd say the only place where it didn't really seem to have much of a cling to my face was this little scratch there. You can quite see it, but again, it does seem like the product, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. It does seem like this product is really aimed more for your under eyes. I'll give it some leeway in case I'm pushing it a bit too much for what it's actually created for. I am quite intrigued by this because it does say it also has hyaluronic, it says caffeine, and it says complex, which I'm not sure if that's their hopes and dreams or that's kind of some ingredients they've put in, but I don't know. But yeah, apart from the whole having to dip back in constantly all the time, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I'd say I do definitely prefer the kind of fluffy regular doe foot applicator. The metal component, it did feel nice, but I wouldn't prefer it over my usual one, again because I had to keep constantly dipping back in. Imagine if you're on a time strain and you have to keep scooping out some concealer with your metal spoon. But it did feel nice, so I may change my mind in the summer when it's bloody hot, but for the moment it's just a bit of a gimmicky thing for me. I'm not sure if this is worth it more than a regular concealer, but I'm going to go off. I'm going to go enjoy my day, and then I'll come back with a bit of an update on how it's looking at the end of the day, see how it held up, and yeah, hopefully my eyes will be shining brighter than Edward on a sunny day. So my final thoughts are, I don't really think that this is going to be a new thing for concealers. I can see the appeal, especially because it did feel really nice, and if you do experience a lot of puffiness, this may be helpful, but again, I'm not sure how a quick swipe under your eye is supposed to depuff your eye, because I know that when they do the whole spoon on the eye trick, you have to hold it there for at least 30 seconds, so I'm not sure if you're going to be swooping concealer under your eye for that long. I don't really know, but I would just stick to your good old regular doe foot concealers. But that will be it from me today. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see all of you in my next one.